Meteorologists are at a loss to explain what is causing this weather and why it has taken life by surprise.
Pretty crazy. We get the first rain since November. We get absolutely massive hailstones.
It's supposed to be the coldest weather on record in 1,000 years.
What reasons do we have for this? Is this climate change? What's going on?
We don't really know. The experts don't even know.
Good evening. Now it's in the books forever, or at least until the next winter, as powerful and relentless as this one. It really will be spring before some of this snow is gone. This last storm, which grew way beyond what even our crack meteorologists saw coming, cemented this winter in our history, cemented millions of people inside their home. Look at the size of this thing as seen from space. Records fell.
Biggest snowfall in recorded history.
100 million people will be impacted by this storm. That's 1/3 the population of the United States.
Sprays of freezing water from Lake Erie shrouded a lighthouse near Cleveland, Ohio.
Unusually cold weather continues to pound the eastern half of the United States, and it is very serious. It's pushing temperatures well below normal.
Britain remains in the grip of the big freeze tonight, and there is little sign of it easing. Heavy snow brought large parts of the UK to a standstill again today, with airports closed, motorways shut, and tonight ice is the big worry as temperatures plunge to as low as -7 or 8.
The catastrophic earthquake in Chile was so powerful, it knocked the Earth off of its axis and shortened the length of the day.
Tonight there is another measure of how powerful this earthquake was. Listen to this. It moved so much mass on the planet that government scientists estimate it moved the Earth off its axis by about 3 inches, and as a result shortened the day by a few millionths of a second. The quake raised the ground level of one island in Chile by 6 feet. And it most certainly turned the lives of millions, as we've seen, upside down.
Australia is experiencing one of the worst floods in the past 70 years. The BBC says the flooding has reached biblical proportions.
Evacuations are underway in far north Queensland as locals and tourists flee the path of monster cyclone Yasi. Much of the Cairns CBD is expected to go underwater when the biggest cyclone in the state's history crosses the coast early Thursday.
Our planet is gearing up for its largest magnetic storm in years, due to arrive later today. A number of scientists have warned of possible technological catastrophe.
Back now to our top story, a terrible mystery gripping the world right now. Birds, fish, and all kinds of creatures just dropping dead in huge numbers for what seems like no reason.
Just when you thought there couldn't be more change going on in the world, it turns out magnetic north is moving. Aviators knew this. It's always moved, but not like this. In fact, it's on the move about 40 miles a year now along the polar cap toward Russia.
But this is all a sign of the apocalypse.
You no longer have to worry about when Jesus will return or what he'll look like. He's already here. Give it up for the reincarnation of Jesus Christ himself, or so he says, Jose Luis de Jesus Miranda.
So who are you? I'm Jesus Christ, man. So the second coming of Christ.
Come on, fire.
Hey, Roger. Keep shooting. Keep shooting. The Hotel 26, Crazy Horse, 1-8.
Oh yeah, look at those dead bastards.
Nice.
Thousands are feared dead after a powerful earthquake hits Haiti in the Caribbean, the worst for 200 years.
Millions of people in the U.S. felt the effect of a powerful earthquake that struck Mexico Sunday afternoon.
A 9.0 magnitude quake struck under the Indian Ocean December 26th.
Down in New Zealand, everyone, as a result of a powerful 7.4 earthquake they've had there.
Devastation in Japan is making headlines around the world as the country recovers from the 8.9 magnitude earthquake that sent a tsunami crashing over the mainland.
A major tsunami has struck northeastern Japan
In an event that geologists call historic. It all started with an 8.9 magnitude quake that hit around 2:45 p.m. local time in Japan, 12:45 in the morning here on the East Coast. It is the largest recorded quake in Japan's history. It is also the 5th strongest quake in the world in the past 111 years. And there have been at least 19 aftershocks, including several stronger than last month's devastating quake in New Zealand.
Yes, there are earthquakes from time to time, but we have never, ever felt anything on the magnitude, the literal magnitude of what we experienced today.
And as we are talking, we are looking at this extraordinary wave, another tsunami wave, moving toward the Japanese coast.
And as we mentioned, a tsunami warning has now been extended to include Hawaii and spots all along the U.S. West Coast. That's right. When it starts to hit the continental shelf, it speeds up. It moves as fast as 500 miles an hour, the speed of a jumbo jet.
As you can see in the pictures, you have massive walls of waves just eating up everything in its path.
The catastrophic earthquake in Chile was so powerful, it knocked the Earth off of its axis and shortened the length of the day.
to your TV right now because this is our Weather Watch 12 camera. We're catching a meteor, possible meteor, most likely.
A video has been released showing a howling fireball streaking through the sky above America's Midwest late last night. The U.S. National Weather Service has confirmed that the light was a meteor. The phenomenon was apparently seen by dozens across 5 states, and many also reported hearing a thundering sound.
What is that on screen? No astronomer has seen this before. Scientists say they're clueless about what it might be. Back on the screen, what is it?
We don't know. We are stumped. Scientists around the world are saying, what the heck is this object? It doesn't fit any of the profiles of the usual suspects. That's the problem.
The usual suspects are comet, meteor,
stars, galaxies, planets.
How about some sort of alien dealio? You buy into that?
Well, you know, the object is about the size of the Rose Bowl Stadium. So it's too small to be a planet or a star or a galaxy. And it's not a comet. There's no gas in the tail of that comet. It's not a meteor because it's not inside the Earth's atmosphere. So what is it? We're scratching our head. The only thing we can think of at the present time is a once-in-a-lifetime event, the collision of 2 asteroids in space. We've never seen that before. That's right. A month ago, we spotted this little speck doing all sorts of shenanigans that it shouldn't be doing. The Hubble Space Telescope zooms in on it, and our jaws hit the floor. At that point, we're saying...
Now, it's called the P/2010 A2. And you say that's short for...
We are clueless.
On March 19th, the moon's orbit will be 221,000 miles from Earth, the closest it's been in 19 years. It's called the supermoon, a term coined by Richard Noley for when the moon's orbit is nearest the Earth, and the sun, moon, and Earth are all in alignment. That means the gravitational pulls of the moon and sun combine to cause higher tides. This kind of alignment only happens every 10 to 20 years, so when it does, KGTV says we notice.
There is a precedent. The deadly tsunami in Indonesia happened 2 weeks before the 2005 supermoon, and Cyclone Tracy laid waste to Australia during the supermoon year of 1974. There were also extreme weather events in the supermoon years of 1955 and 1992.
Talk of the supermoon began weeks before the earthquake hit Japan.
However, most astronomers say this is just coincidence.
Our planet is gearing up for its largest magnetic storm in years, due to arrive later today. A number of scientists have warned of possible technological catastrophe.
Hey everybody, this is the massive solar flare that took place today, February 13th. Check this out. Does that not look like the red horse of the apocalypse? That is the massive CME that was ejected off the surface of the sun today. They say it was close to an X-class, which is huge. Signs in the heavens, in the sun, and the moon, Matthew chapter 24. And on the earth, distress of nations, kingdom rising against kingdom, wars and rumors of wars. Earthquakes in diverse places. We're in the time of revelation, guys. The earth is changing, the sun is changing. We're in the time of the end, guys. This is the book of Revelation. Be prepared.
About a medical mystery some scientists are calling the new AIDS of the Americas. The name of the illness is Chagas disease. You can treat it, but you cannot cure it. It can be fatal, and researchers say it's spreading now at an alarming rate.
The alarming headlines. A frightening, mysterious disease.
Caused by a small insect. The journal compared it to the new HIV, AIDS. It's called Chagas disease, and there are 300,000 known infections here in the U.S.
You get it from this tiny parasite, carried by a 1-inch-long bug. All too often, there's no sign you've been infected. For decades, it can lie dormant in your body, until suddenly destroying your heart.
What happens is these blood-sucking insects actually send a parasite into your blood, right? And it releases the parasite, and then it makes its way to your heart where it can actually multiply. It's called a kissing bug. It stays dormant for years, and then it shows up as heart disease, potentially a heart attack. As many as 8 million people have Chagas.
They are stopping traffic and driving people from their homes, building hives in the walls. We're talking about bees gone wild. So what is behind this surge of bees?
A story of biblical proportions is playing out in a rural town in central California. A massive swarm of locusts has invaded the town of Harrow.
They have come by the millions.
At least 5 million of them.
It is leveling the crops since those critters can eat up to their own body weight just every couple of days.
We have never seen an infestation like this.
Scientists say this is pretty rare.
New Mexico has the first confirmed case of the plague in the country. An environmental investigation will now take place. Plague is usually transmitted by fleas, but it can also be transmitted through direct contact with animals that are infected.
The nation's top disease detectives are searching tonight for the cause of a mysterious and deadly new outbreak of E. coli.
Here's what we know. Those cases have been detected across 4 states now. It's believed all of the victims have been sickened by the same strain of E. coli. Not all strains are dangerous, but this one is. It carries what's called the 0145 genetic fingerprint, one that produces a deadly toxin.
These cases are all linked, and that would suggest that there was a common source somewhere along the way. We just don't know where.
fast and hard across Dallas, alarming home and car owners. The hail covering so much of the ground in Lakewood, it looked like it snowed in the middle of June.
It was horrible. It was like being bombed or something. It went for at least 20 minutes. It just pummeled. It was unbelievable. And the rain, there was so much rain. It was like being in a disaster movie.
It sounded like the house was exploding. You can look at the roof and see if it's 1,000 explosions.
But check out this fog coming off the greens here. It's just almost, it's an eerie look. It's very eerie. It's Halloween-esque, except it's in the middle of the daylight. You can see the cart going through there. You can barely see that golf cart working its way down the path through all this fog that's generated by this hail that's up to an inch thick.
Hundreds of cars have broken windows. The Lakewood Theater's marquee damaged.
And shoppers at North Park Center were shocked as hail broke through the skylights and fell onto the mall floor.
Baseball-sized hail pummeled the skylights at North Park Center. Shoppers inside.
Surfers in North Lawn near Melbourne captured the phenomenon on camera and filming what they described as foam tunnels.
It's been a sleepless night for many Victorians after the state was shaken by its biggest earthquake in 109 years. The 5.3 magnitude quake hit near Moe, but was felt across Melbourne and as far north as the New South Wales border. There have been dozens.
Victorians heard the rumble build, felt their homes and businesses shake, and watched as their possessions crashed to the floor. Geoscience Australia says it's the third largest recorded quake in Victoria's history. The quake was followed by 60 aftershocks. Experts say more tremors are likely.
But it is expected there'll be literally hundreds over the next couple of weeks, and there is the potential for another big one. And you've got to say that given the power of the earthquake and also the extent of its impact, and we're having reports it's been felt as far away as Flinders Island.
Brisbane residents woke to a winter whiteout this morning. Thick fog blanketed much of the city for several hours.
The pace of sunrise was a spectacular sight as fog swept across the city towards Ipswich and Archerfield this morning.
Residents of the Chinese metropolis of Wuhan were advised to stay indoors on Monday after a thick haze blanketed the city of 9 million people. Described by residents as opaque with yellowish and greenish tinges, the fog descended suddenly in the morning, prompting people to rush to put on face masks. In 31 years in Wuhan, I have never known anything like it.
A health particulate warning was actually just issued a little while ago from the Arizona Department of
An air quality alert has been issued for all of western New York except for Allegheny County.
So it's got a lot of people talking. What is this? Is it smog? Is it smoke? But there's also an ozone health watch in effect today.
And in addition, the state DEC has issued an air quality alert for all of western New York beginning at 11 o'clock.
Was this unexpected?
It was a real curveball because, as you well know, that normally a southwest and northeast wind direction throughout the year, and this one was a very strange meteorological occurrence.
Today is June the 6th, June the 7th rather, it's a Thursday, 2012. That's Seal, and this is a really unusual cloud formation coming over the area here from the north. It's just, I don't know what is coming in here in terms of a storm front.
Look at that. Pretty ominous looking, isn't it?
Right over the lake, isn't it? Oh, and look at there's light. Did you see that? It's probably some PG&E light.
لا صارت عترش.
Sounds being heard in the atmosphere. People around the world and here at home have reported hearing some bizarre noises.
Some strange noises heard around the world the last few weeks, from Arizona to England and right next door in Manitoba, all showing folks alarmed by what sounds like a noise straight out of a science fiction flick.
It's kind of like watching a scary movie. The background noise gives you the feeling that something terrible is about to happen.
Strange, mild sound. Seems like it's coming from the sky, anyway.
I've heard that Jesus is coming back. I've heard that it's 2012, the world is ending.
This phenomenon stretched beyond North Battleford. Similar experiences were reported in Saskatoon, northern Saskatchewan, and parts of the U.S., even in Europe.
Sonidos muy similares a estos.
I've never seen this before. Are you doing video?
I have never seen this before, and I'm doing video. That's
Can
correct.
we please send it to James Bain and the Weather Channel?
That we are in the birth bank. Something is going on. We are in unprecedented, uncharted waters.
ومصدرها وتحديد نوعيتها، وبيبين صادر لاحقا عن الوزير المصدر مجرور مقفل ويرجح أن يكون
A terrible mystery gripping the world right now. Birds, fish, and all kinds of creatures just dropping dead.
For the second year on New Year's Eve, birds are falling from the sky in Beebe.
A mystery in Beebe, Arkansas. Birds falling dead from the sky on New Year's Eve for the second year in a row. Wildlife officials say
no one knows how these dolphins died, but hundreds have been found on beaches in Chiclayo, Peru. At least 260 dolphins washed ashore across a roughly 60-mile stretch of beach. Officials aren't sure what happened to them. An event like this is particularly unusual because dolphins aren't normally found in these seas.
Everywhere you look, you see the carcass of a dead turtle. Small turtles, large turtles, dozens of them, dead and scattered along the banks of Smith Lake.
The birds just started falling from the sky.
This is really weird. Hundreds of birds literally just dropped from the sky and then landed on I-95, bringing traffic there to a crawl.
But earlier today, a lot of confusion and concern when birds which were flying in the sky started to crash to the pavement.
There were hundreds of them.
Never ever in my life have I seen anything like this. Crazy. Totally crazy.
Never seen. I travel this all the time.
But I haven't heard of anything locally like that, ever.
Birds, fish, and all kinds of creatures just dropping dead.
Couldn't figure out what the heck happened. Never seen anything like it.
Something strange has happened in the skies above Britain. Police throughout Scotland and the north of England received calls of a bright light streaking across the sky on Saturday night.
These images over Harrogate, but there have been sightings across the country from Scotland, Wales, the north, right down to the East Midlands.
It was what observers are calling one of the best meteors ever seen in the UK. The object was seen as far south as Devon and may have landed in the English Channel.
Dozens of viewers have said they've seen a massive bright light in the sky in the last few hours, with most claiming it was a meteor.
You'll be hearing a lot about this next item over the next 11 months, but astronomers have identified a new asteroid about 150 feet across, which is headed our way and may come so close to Earth that it will pass between us and the satellites orbiting in space above us. There's some debate in the scientific community about whether a direct hit is even possible. This is called 2012 DA14. They say this will be the closest pass of an asteroid in the history of tracking such things. And again, while this pass is supposed to miss us, the experts all say there's nothing wrong with making sure your affairs are in order.
So should we be nervous about this whole thing?
All right, well, this is a serious story because the latest round of solar flares captured in this incredible video. Take a look at this. It's from NASA overnight. The burst that you're seeing there, charged particles erupting off the surface of the sun. And we saw an even bigger solar flare Tuesday night. Right now, all of those particles are racing toward the Earth, as you said, about 4 million miles per hour. And it's growing as it gets closer to us. On top of that, the problems will arise when the flares reach the Earth's magnetic field, apparently. That's when we could see mass power.
It's like a cloud of birds, but a giant cloud.
It's really creepy. It's kind of like, is the world coming to an end here or something? I mean, it's scary.
The whole sky will fill up with black birds. But it's crazy. It's scary, ain't it?
How many do you think?
Like a million.
It's like we're being held hostage.
Held hostage in maybe a 3-mile radius by blackbirds.
When it comes down, it sounds like rain coming down. I mean, literally, from inside of our apartment, you think that it's raining outside.
We're trying to figure out what caused that flash in the sky in the Northwest Valley. It happened this morning, right here. If you haven't seen it, here we go. During Andrea's traffic report, look, we're going to slow it down for you right there. Look in the background. Looks like some kind of very bright light, almost like it was an explosion or something. Our first thought was maybe a transformer. But we checked with APS and SRP. They said they haven't had any trouble. We haven't had any reports of any explosions either. Here it is, one more time for you in slow-mo. So it is still a mystery.
Okay, release easily.
Take it away from us, Lord. Take it, Lord. Take it, Lord. Take it away from us, Jesus. Holy Ashiri, Sundari, Ashan. Father God, all powers in your Son's name. Take this stuff away from our home.
This morning, killer storms.
And those storms are not over just yet. Cities torn apart after taking a direct hit from rare winter tornadoes. They're now bracing for more of the same.
Among the places hardest hit, Harrisburg, Illinois. 175-mile-an-hour winds, 2 football fields wide, left people dead. Homes were shredded, a strip mall flattened, entire buildings knocked off their foundations.
It's just unreal. It's like a war zone.
A somber Saturday morning as hundreds of thousands wake up to sheer devastation. This entire town's all gone, flattened in a flash. This massive storm spawned more tornadoes in one day than we usually see in an entire month.
Here's what we know right now. At least 29 people dead. The second round of killer tornadoes just this week.
95 tornadoes ripped through yesterday. If those are all confirmed reports, this would be the greatest tornado day, one-day event in March for all history.
From a series of powerful earthquakes sending shockwaves through Japan.
That is the same area that was struck last year. There was a small tsunami in that area, and about 3 hours after that, another major earthquake.
But we will see continent-shattering earthquakes. We're seeing now too many anomalies, especially on the New Madrid. The rest of the world is coming apart at the seams.
Hey, Clintonville, Wisconsin residents say their homes rattled after explosion-like noises woke them up last night, and city leaders are still trying to figure out just what caused it all. Police phone lines were jammed with calls from a 13-block area. Callers reported not just hearing loud booms, but rumbling in the ground that shook them right out of their homes.
It sounded like somebody was dropping bombs.
What we know from geologists down at UW-Madison is that this is clearly not consistent with earthquake activity.
People in this community won't stop coming up to us tonight, telling us that they're still hearing this loud boom tonight, and then they feel the ground shake just a little bit. Now, this boom isn't coming up from the sky, but rather it's coming from down below.
Aftershock shook Mexico City. It comes after a magnitude 7.6 earthquake struck 120 miles east of Acapulco.
There seems to be a systematic effort to downplay the earthquakes and especially their intensity. And we're now in the realm of lame excuses for everything. You know, it's amazing that people just seemingly take the word of the most pathetic investigative journalism that's ever been seen in the history of the world in the United States.
More rumblings in Clintonville early this morning.
And what's causing that?
Some Clintonville residents, though, they're speculating, of course. The church's marquee reads, "God is shaking our city. Let's have a revival."
And tonight there are reports of more booming sounds 80 miles away. Police in Montello are now investigating similar sounds.
But so far, I don't have an explanation.
We have a lot of good, reliable sources that reported this pretty much community-wide, and, you know, at this point in time, it is quite the talk of the town. There's no doubt about it.
There was a loud boom, and all the windows shook, the whole house shook.
It felt like my front door was being, trying to be kicked in. My apartment was shaking.
For the third night in a row, unexplained ground shaking has leaders in Clintonville scratching their heads. In our big story, city officials remain at a loss over what this could be. Several theories have been ruled out, including water, other utilities, even an earthquake. The city isn't ordering any evacuations, but some say they are considering leaving town. The booms began early Monday morning, continued Tuesday morning, and came back once again early this morning.
People there are on edge. Police say they've received more than 500 calls about vibrations.
The ground is shaking in an unusual way.
And what we're seeing is that these events continue one after another.
The ground is shaking in an unusual way.
After thousands of people complained something was new, something was wrong, the Centers for Disease Control now says it will launch an investigation into a strange new skin condition, no known causes.
This morning in Health Watch, Morgellons, a mystery illness that can make people feel like their skin's crawling.
It is a mystery straight out of the X-Files, but those who suffer from it will tell you it's painfully real.
Imagine feeling like your skin is literally crawling, that you're tormented at all hours. You can't even think straight. The condition is driving you crazy, but...
A strange substance found by a Southwest Arkansas man be part of a government test? Well, that's the question at the heart of a phenomenon called chemtrails, now getting widespread attention.
Tonight, a community in the San Bernardino Mountains has a real mystery on its hands. The official explanation here is that jet contrails are causing strange lines in the sky, and that it's pollen making people sick on the ground. The Department of Health found a yellowish tint on a tissue submitted for testing. But, quote, there was no sign of any biological form, such as cedar pollen.
Well, Laura, the disease literally makes your skin feel like it's crawling, but here's the real scary part for us. Out of the entire country, the LA area has the highest percentage of cases.
Thousands of sufferers nationwide, but who seem concentrated in Texas, California, and Florida.
Report a higher than average number of patients who had these symptoms.
Just hearing their symptoms might make you feel sick.
It happened again last February, and calls began pouring into the local Alpenhorn newspaper.
And they had a tremendous upsurge of children that were not going to school at that time.
Pharmacist Ed Burrows says it is the most mysterious illness he's seen in 22 years on the mountain.
Imagine sweating beads of a black tar-like substance or pulling colored thread-like strings from sores all over your body.
A lot of eye infection problems, upper respiratory problems, nosebleeds.
Patients report feeling bugs crawling beneath their skin, sores that don't heal, dementia, extreme fatigue, and most disturbing, fibers that push out from open wounds.
The symptoms are very close to what's been reported, I think, generally. They typically describe a disturbing skin sensations such as itching or stinging or pins and needles. They have ulcers or a rash on their skin. Many of these are very difficult to heal. And they additionally, they report that they have foreign materials such as threads or fibers coming from beneath their skin.
Some patients actually gave us those fibers, so we had them analyzed against 100,000 known fiber samples, both natural and synthetic, that the FBI crime lab uses, Diane. Guess what? Not a match.
And you know, it turns out until 9 years ago, the government had the right under U.S. law to conduct secret testing on the American public under specific conditions. Only a public outcry repealed part of that law, with some exceptions.
But could secret testing be underway yet again? Those who fear chemtrails could be secret biological or chemical testing on the public. Point to the 1977 Senate hearings in particular, which confirmed 239 populated areas had been contaminated with biological agents between 1949 and 1969.
Okay, I hope all of you heard that real loud and real clear. We're talking about the potential of chemtrail involvement with Morgellons disease.
Surely, Kirko, you are aware that no scientific discovery is complete without testing.
Come here. These two serfs will be our test subjects.
It seemed like some mornings it was just crisscrossing the whole sky. It was just like a giant checkerboard.
Bill Nichols snapped several photos of the strange clouds from his home in Stamps, Arkansas. They begin as normal contrails from a jet engine, but do not fade away like a normal contrail. Soon after, he saw particles in the air.
You know, because we'd see it drop to the ground in a haze.
Nichols then noticed the material collecting on the ground. KSLA News 12 had the sample tested at a lab. The results? A high level of barium, 6.8 parts per million, more than 3 times the toxic level set by the EPA. KSLA News 12 discovered chemtrails are even mentioned by name in the initial draft of House Bill 2977 back in 2001 under the Space Preservation Act. But the military denies any such program exists.
And what I found was unusual spiking since the early 1990s in barium, aluminum.
Rosalind Peterson of California Skywatch says health department records show a sharp increase in both chemicals in the water supply of Northern California, dating from the time the huge contrails first appeared over her home in Mendocino County.
It had to be airborne, because how could it get to such diverse regions of our county? We have jets going in every direction.
Able to spray it on the populace.
I gotcha. I'll rig some sort of spray device. Remember, I used to be a pretty good crop duster.
Later, the 1994 Rockefeller Report concluded hundreds of thousands of military personnel were also subjected to secret biological experiments over the last 60 years.
A string of congressional investigations has uncovered more than 20,000 secret tests that were carried out against the American people between 1910 and 2000. From 1943 until present, the British have tested lethal nerve gas on their own personnel on land, air, and sea. Many died instantly. Still others died grueling deaths over several years.
They start off like little pimples or something, and you scratch them, and they bust open, and they spring forth these weird fibers like a strand of a piece of cotton.
They sometimes move, which is really bizarre.
Things basically moving under my skin. You know,
The people claim they have strings, not hairs, but strings growing out of their skin.
It's all a system. They're all connected together. They're just these awful little black things that intertwine.
White fibers on my face. I saw black specks coming out of what looked like pimples, really. It sounds like these people are talking about something out of a science fiction movie, but they're not. They're describing the painful symptoms associated with a mysterious skin disease called Morgellons.
It's like fibers that come out of your skin?
Yes, there's this fibrous material. It's in layers.
Look at your arm.
Our hands swell and they itch, and
it's been described as feeling as if either bugs are crawling on the surface of your skin or underneath your skin.
underneath the skin.
A call from Leanne Cofield's sister. A brief message with a long story. Leanne believes something is killing her mother and both of her sisters. Painful sores cover parts of their bodies.
She found countless others experiencing the same misery, a brain fog of sorts, problems concentrating.
One of the most disturbing is the cognitive impairment, the inability to think clearly.
The feeling of bugs crawling on and biting the skin, and painful itchy sores that produce mysterious red and blue fibers and black specks.
Some black specks came out of my hand and came out of my arm.
And within 2 years, at age 29, he was out of baseball.
Twitching. Just uncontrollable muscle twitches for months at a time through the night. I mean, and that's just weird.
They say out of slow-healing skin lesions will come bizarre filaments, especially after bathing.
That's when it would just really just ooze, literally ooze out of my skin.
There's no reasonable explanation for it. I'm not seeing things, I'm watching it happen. I mean, we're pretty sane people. But something weird is going on, and something needs to be done.
He freaked out. He wanted to ignore it, which I wanted to too, but when it comes to your kids, you gotta stop ignoring it.
And we need to stop this damn spraying of chemtrails that includes nanoorganisms that are silicon-based life forms that do not originate on this planet, as well as mycobacteria, Pseudomonas fluorescens, and other organisms that are destroying the health and immune systems of people. And they're doing it on purpose. It's part of their population control.
We wanted to find out exactly what effects barium has on the body. We spoke with Mark Ryan, the director of the Poison Control Center. Ryan tells KSLA News 12 that short-term exposure can lead to anything from stomach to chest pains. Long-term exposure causes blood pressure problems. Ryan addressed concerns by chemtrail researchers that barium could be meant to wear down a person's immune system.
Anything that causes ill effects in the body long-term chronically is going to affect your ability because it's constantly working on the body. So from that aspect, yeah, it's a potential.
Our only concern is the amount of reduction we can achieve. Have them stand by the panel.
Go on. Go stand by the panel. You've gone too far. You've killed them.
My kids have to see not only their dad, but their mom disintegrating, and that's got to be really scary.